Hello.
All right, good morning. What's your name?
My name's Kevin.
Kevin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Are you Eric?
I am Eric.
Oh, we talked on the phone, weeks ago. Alex, Alex Kim?
Oh, nice. Oh, yes, nice to meet you, man. All right, so the goal here today is we're gonna talk about, this isn't supposed to be an entry into open house or anything. We're supposed to have an elevated talk around how to wow people when they walk through that door, right? And get the most out of the efforts that you're doing around open houses. So what I first want to do, hey, Kevin Cole.
Hey, Eric.
I was gonna say you're unmuted, so just make sure you're not, saying bad
Yeah,
things about me.
I'm waiting for the elevated talk.
Okay. So the
Exchange.
first thing I want to talk about is what are we doing right now that works well for your open houses? And we may even talk about how we can 10x it and improve it even more. So what's working right now in your open houses? Do they just suck? Nothing? No one? Gavin, have you done open house yet?
Having extended hours and late Friday afternoon, extended hours on Saturday and extended hours on Sunday.
Okay. What else is working for you guys? Working open houses?
So you're talking about just that property or just in general?
In general with your open houses, what works well for you to either, generate a lead, build a relationship with someone? What works well for you right now?
What I've experienced is not just try to hard sell that particular thing, but keep an open mindset and listen to what people are saying.
We're gonna talk about that. What else?
And starting base of the conversation, something like they like something and start from there.
Conversation starters? What else?
I always listen to people as they're walking around, whether they're talking about the dogs in the car, if they have kids, or they're talking about the baseball game they just came from, to open up a conversation that will relate to them. So that all of a sudden you're not talking about selling the property or selling me with anything. Now we're just having a conversation, and that connection to me has always been
It's money.
done.
So first rule of today. Be a better listener. We can always be a better listener. And now that can go in all aspects of real estate, but especially in that open house, sometimes I think we get caught up in, I'm trying to sell this house, I'm trying to get an offer on this one property. And the reality is it's probably going to be a long game with these people that you're meeting. The other thing we're going to talk about is how to get more listings from open houses, because that's what we want to focus on. So rule number one, be a better listener. Anything else you guys want to add to the list that you are doing well right now, or it's working well for you?
Oh, enough science.
Sign, baby. Okay. So next question, what do you want to make sure we talk about today?
You already touched upon it, how to get listings from
Those things. Okay. What else?
How to attract more clients.
Attract more clients to it, like it. Get more appointments. Attract.
How to confidently ask for the business.
Okay. Sound like a good list? If we're able to learn how to get more listings from open houses, attract more people. Are you saying more people to the open house or just more people to follow you then from the open house, like that conversion?
Just whoever comes in open house.
Okay, get more people into the open house, okay? And then more appointments and business from open houses. If we can accomplish these three things today, success? Okay, cool. All right, so here are the 5 things we're going to talk about. Mindset, prep before the open house, setup, lead generation, and then follow-up. Lead generation is going to be split up. I kind of put it all together, but there's lead generation before the open house, right? Lead generation during the open house, and I consider anything that goes after is just really follow-up that you're doing. Okay, we're manually clicking. Oh, they work now. All right, so getting the most out of your efforts. So first thing first, as far as mindset is concerned, the open house cannot just be a weekend event. That can't be how you look at it. And you have to always be looking on how you can transform that experience for the people walking through that door. So when we're talking about Deepak, getting more listings, what does our mindset have to be in that open house if we want to attract more listings?
Ask more open-ended questions.
More open-ended questions. We'll talk about that too.
And we have to do more door knocking and all that. I'm doing the open house and all that. People feel like, yes, you are somewhere in the neighborhood.
Door knocking is key, absolutely. Dagini,
Do a good job at hosting that open house.
what did you say, Deepak?
We should try to attract as many neighbors as possible.
Yes, and it's because of what Gangdeep shared back there. That open house, you're on display. This is your time right now to show what the potential sellers in that neighborhood that could eventually sell, could be a year, 2 years, 3 years. It shouldn't matter to you, right? Because the second they sign in, they get into that open house, they're signing into your sheet. That is someone for life now that you're following up with, especially if it's in that neighborhood. So when we're doing that open house, you have to imagine that every person walking through that door, you're a performer. It's time to perform, right? And so when they walk through that door, the second they get up to the door, the second they walk in the door, the second they hear your first initial greeting, and then they're going through the house, that is all the experience we want to focus on. Now, the door knocking beforehand, right? That's the funnel to get them into the performance that they're going to get when they come into that open house. So as far as getting the most out of your efforts, really put in the work that when they are in that house and they're experiencing you, they're getting the best version of you. Have we had open houses where sometimes you're like, I can't wait until this is done so I can go do X, Y, and Z? We've all done it. I've done it. There's one time there's a football game on and I was like, does this place have cable so I can watch this game? So we always just have to have that mindset. If we're going to put in the effort, maximize those results, feel like those are listing appointments and buyer appointments walking right through that door, and they're there to see you. They're not there to see anyone else, but they're there to see you. And it's time to put on the dog and pony show, right? To show them what you're about. I just met with someone here today who's been in the business for 10 years now. And he pretty religiously did open houses every weekend. And he's working with a coach right now, and the coach goes, you only closed 2 open, like the last couple of years, you only closed 2 open houses, like leads from open houses. Why are you doing open houses on the weekend? And he's like, well, I mean, I just feel like that's what you should do. She said, well, stop doing an open house on the weekend. Now he takes the weekend off. So you're either in it full, both feet, or you're not in it. And so if we're not going to really show out when we're in there, I don't even think there's a point in doing the open houses. Yeah, you can catch some people, but if you're not going to do the follow-up after, really, what are we gonna get from it? What are we gonna share?
Well, maybe old school, but you walk right into it. Is when you say mindset, I know the preparation, the mindset is after that. I know that if I'm out hanging out with buddies, barbecuing until 11 o'clock, and I feel so anxious the next day, the open house is just going to be garbage.
Yeah.
I wasted my time, and it's just. So be fresh that day, get there early, make sure you're not running around last minute, picking up signs, punching pillows. Make sure you have a good half hour with some water before you can.
You know, it's something I did not put in there, but it may seem basic, but it means a lot. Have that prep time before. Deepak, I think it was you and I, we were doing the video shoot and you were like, I have an open house, like right after, right? The video shoot went long and I was getting anxiety for you. I was like, no, you want to be there like an hour early, like you gotta be prepared to, like I was feeling it. So definitely make sure you give yourself enough time that you're not getting to the house all sweaty from putting out the signs and things like that. And it may seem so simple. I stopped wearing slacks because of open houses. It was creating moisture in places that I didn't want to experience anymore. So just make sure you're putting in that time, or giving yourself enough time so that it feels great when people are coming in. Okay, now I'm ready for people to walk through that door. Just like when you go on a listing appointment. Does anyone pump themselves up before they go on a listing appointment? Listen to music or anything like that? It's a must for me. Before I go into that listing appointment, I always show up 30 minutes early to any listing appointment. So I go around the neighborhood and things like that. But then I sit in my car and I want 100% get into the zone. A little bit of angry music, but it's angry music for happy people, is I like to call it. But you have to get into your zone. So find where that zone is. And that goes into, oh, that's the next one. Never mind. Prep. We'll talk about prep in a second. Next one, Target versus Nordstrom. So I brought this up in my last class. Why do I say Target versus Nordstrom? What does that mean?
Quality of service.
Quality of service, right? When we go into a Target, there's always someone there to help. Absolutely, right? You see red shirts all over the place. Sometimes I won't wear a red shirt to Target because I always get mistaken, like, you work here, right? And I do the same thing with everyone else. Like you do the look and you're like, do they have a name tag? But there's always someone to help. But when you go into Nordstrom's, what happens? They come up to you, right? You enter the shoe department, or Deepak, what do you, they don't say your name, if they knew your name, that would be crazy. But hey, what brings you in today? Can I help you find any shoes, right? No, I'm just looking, right? And so let's keep using the shoe department as an example. I would always go into the mall and it would always be the Nordstrom men's shoe section. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a little bit obsessed with shoes. So I wear a lot of fun shoes and I always stop and look. I'm always there to look. I'm never there really to buy because I'm gonna not pay Nordstrom prices for the shoes I can find online for cheaper. Come on, let's be real. And they engage you, right? And then when you do ask for a pair of shoes, what happens?
They go find it for you.
They go find a pair of shoes. But what happens when they bring that pair of shoes out? What else do they have?
Smile on their face.
They definitely have a smile on their face. So always smile. Yes, that shouldn't even, I don't even have to say this in here. Keep smiling, always smiling. They bring out another pair.
Yeah, right.
They always bring out another pair for you. Hey, so you were looking at these Gucci slides, also have these in Dolce & Gabbana, right? So they always give you second options. And so we're going to talk about that. That's where your mindset should always be. This may not work, but what about this? Now, you don't want to be that aggressive when you're in the house. Has anyone had a secret shopper show up to their open house? Meaning the seller show up to the open house at all? Yes, it happens. And you never know. I had a horrible moment one time where my mindset as a newer agent was, I'm not going to sell this house. Percentages are extremely low that I'm actually going to write an offer for this house. I'm here to get more buyers for other houses. And so that was my mindset. And so when people would come in, I would talk up other properties, and we're going to talk about how I would do that, but I would talk up other properties and other things. But something was off about these people that came in, and I was able to dance my way around it. And I was like, this is your house, isn't it? And they're like, yeah, we're the sellers. And inside I was like, but luckily everything was okay. So know that there's going to be secret shoppers there. So you don't want to not show off this house to its fullest. Sell the crap out of that first pair of shoes that someone's talking about. And when that dialogue keeps going, make sure you have other houses, pairs of shoes to be able to offer. What else does Nordstrom do really well that maybe Target doesn't? Customer service. There's a different way they talk to you, right? Completely different. At Nordstrom, they say the same thing almost every time. They ask you how your service was today, who helped you out today, right? You go up to Target, and right now, it might be just the economy and what we're in, but it's like there's zombies up there, right? I think every time I'm getting someone who may not have ever worked before at all. So you're making sure that their quality of you communicating with them, it's at the utmost highest level. Have we ever seen people come into an open house, or like you're doing an open house in one neighborhood and then you go do it maybe another weekend later in a different neighborhood and you see the same couple come in? Does that happen? Yeah. Are they getting that same experience? Are they getting the same BPOC when they're in there, right? And so making sure every time you got to think Nordstrom right when you're walking through that door. And we're going to talk about other things that really scream that service, that experience when you walk in. Nordstrom's always clean, always clean. You don't see them racking the shelves or anything like that, right? That's all in the back in a certain area where they have all the stuff they need to go put back on the shelves. Target, people walk around carts all the time. Sometimes they're just left, and they usually use a regular cart that someone looks like someone may be shopping. It's just sitting there and someone's restocking the shelves. So just have that in your mindset, Nordstrom versus Target. And when you're sitting in your own open house or you're going to other people open houses, what experience are they giving you? And look at the experience that you're giving other people. Mindset should always be to get more listings. Now, I predominantly sold in Sacramento, and this was never a thing. But crazy in the Bay Area, people love buyers. Buyers are easier, I get it. Sometimes sellers can be more high maintenance in certain ways. But listings, one, ultimate leverage. Two, what else comes from listings? Buyers, more buyers. So every time we get a listing, you should expect another listing and 2 more buyers from that. You're going to get those buyers from the open houses, your digital advertising, right? Sign calls, different things like that. But you're going to get more listings because you're going to do the same things that you do for that open house. You're going to do it for your listing that you're holding this open. Now, I have written this here today. So this is what I taught my team. So 95% of this is what I teach my team. The other 5% of it is great things I've heard along the way. But the main thing when you're focused on this, some of these things you can't do when you're doing someone else's open house. I get it, right? We're going to talk about the cleanliness of the open house, right? You can't be going into someone else's listing and being like, hey, they really need to clean up the kitchen in here. It's a little ridiculous. You should be thankful you got that open house with how limited inventory is. But your mindset should always be, I am doing this to get more listings. The buyers, they're going to come, right? The buyers are always going to be there. You're doing this to get more listings. And then your focus needs to be on the experience, right? We were just talking about that, the experience that people are getting in there, right? The second they're walking up to the door, heck, even when they're driving down the street and they're seeing your signs, what's the experience, right? You have to imagine yourself in their shoes inside their car. Is it like, can they barely see the sign from over there? What does that feel like? And then when they're trying to get to your open house, when they get up there, they get up to the door. Do they know what to do? Do they need to put booties on? Do they have to do this, right? That experience of when they're actually in the open house. Questions. You need to focus on questions rather than statements. Who hates it when they go to a car lot and all they get is statements about cars and, oh, you could like this, or you go there specifically for this car and they're like, well, you know, you're thinking about the Traverse, but the Jeep Cherokee, blah, 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 blah. You don't want that. You don't want any of that. And that's not what you're there to do. Now, when you get into deep dialogue with people, right, that's when we start getting there. You were sharing it earlier about what are the things that I can hear? I see them, they have dogs, they have kids, they're wearing a Warriors jersey, right? Where I can get deeper into dialogue with them. So then I can really talk and get deeper into a relationship with them. And that's where I start offering up other things. So what are the questions that I can ask? Now, I don't have a ton of questions that I'm going to share with you here today, but always think, how can I ask questions and leading questions? Leading questions are always going to be the key as far as you developing more rapport with people. And then follow up. None of this works if you're not willing to follow up. You're not going to follow up from an open house. Just don't do the open house in the first place. You can spend your time doing other things. All right, so let's talk about prep. First thing is creating a checklist. Who has a checklist for their open house that they follow every time? Amen. Love it. Great, great. All right, see, you've only done one and you got that checklist. That checklist should constantly be developed. What does the checklist help with?
So nothing slips through the cracks.
We have busy lives. Raise your hand if you have kids. You kids complicate things. Yes, they do. Are there ever emergencies, right? Or even just other buyers and sellers? Stuff's gonna happen right before your open house. And so if you don't have that box of things ready to go and a checklist that you get to follow, you're gonna, that quality of the experience and quality of what you're putting out there, it's gonna suffer because of that. Life is going to happen. The other thing on the checklist is, we're a company of systems and models. And the checklist should be something that you should be doing in all aspects of your business. That what are your processes? How do you follow it? If there's ever a time where, Deepak, you're going on vacation, you just went on an awesome vacation, right? For about like a week or so. Things happen during that time. But let's say you needed, someone wanted to meet for a listing appointment, but you wanted to trust me to go on that listing appointment and we're going to split it or something. Give me that checklist so I can follow it. Make sure you're doing this, and this. So checklists are amazing and making sure you have your process done. All right, signs, branded and clear. There's, I don't go to open houses often, but I see open house signs often. And it kills me when I have no idea what I'm looking at. And then I realize, oh, this is an open house sign. So if you're putting a sign out there, that's just your face and your contact information with an arrow, I hate it. I think it's silly. You should say open house on that sign. Make sure people understand where they are going, but absolutely branded, but you need to make sure that sign is clear. Make sure it's not dingy looking. It's all sun beaten and things like that. I know we love to have black signs. Black signs get really faded in the sun. So make sure when you're storing your signs, when you're doing things like that, elevate your sign game a little bit. Make sure it looks crisp when you're on the street corners and people are looking at the signs. Now, is this a make or break thing? Absolutely not, right? We want to put out as many signs as possible. You brought that up. So you're making sure you have enough signs, but supplement your very nice luxury looking signs with the other signs that help point and direct people to different places. But make sure that, again, when people are experiencing your brand, they're experiencing at the highest level, not a subpar level. We brought some people over from Intero and which we have similar colors, I get it, but they just like stuck a little sticker on there and covered up Intero and put Keller Williams Drive on there. Buy a new sign. Get a new sign. Take the stickers away. Buy a new sign. Foods and gifts. Who does food and gifts at their open houses? What do you guys do?
Cupcakes, small cupcakes.
Cupcakes, yes. Candies. Do you brand them?
Yes.
Gotta brand them. What do you guys do?
We do like, just the first Twilight tour kind of open house. We do like a wine with some additional beverages for people who don't want wine and some charcuterie, just like to go kind of appetizers.
Do you think that's memorable?
If it's branded, yes.
100%. And how many people are going to as many open houses as possible, right? They're just gonna pop to the other one. So if they're eating that cupcake from over there, make sure the little toothpick that's in there has a little flag with your branding on it, right? The little wrapper around it has your branding on it. The water bottle has your branding on it. I can't tell you how many open houses I go to and I grab a branded water bottle and that thing sits in my car for who knows how long. And I just see that person's face all the time. So make sure if you're putting the effort into foods and gifts and things like that, make sure they are branded. Now the food thing. I don't know if I'm, giving you guys secrets. You haven't got your license yet, but this may be some real inside info. If we want to have a strong class where we get good attendance from agents, Deepak, what do we do from a brokerage level?
Pizza.
We feed you. Yeah, we give food. You just got the menu item for tomorrow's class, so you know that's what Raymond's ordering. But if there is food, the saying is they're going to come, right? So we know that if you feel like we have low attendance or we want to get a big crowd at this class, we're going to feed you. So that same mindset should be for you when you're doing an open house. Now, you don't need to go all out every time you're doing an open house, but start thinking about open house events. How can I throw an event at this open house? Now, you really want to leave it to your listings when you're doing that. You kind of may not want to put that effort into someone else's listing unless it's in your farm. So This is something we did not do, but I heard it at family reunion this year, and I think it's brilliant. This guy he does an ice cream truck. He made a deal with the ice cream vendor, and every open house they do on the weekend in their farm gets this ice cream truck. And they're now, is there a cost involved? 100%. 100%. But they have a line of people to go get some ice cream and walk through the open house. Now, what's the key caveat to getting ice cream?
I know.
Gotta give me your information. No one's getting free. Nothing's free in this world. Give me your information, you get to go through there. Yeah, he described this one time, he had a newer agent who was like, it was monsooning outside, the rainmaker called and said, hey, if you don't want to do the open house, I totally get it, like, it's crazy out there. He was like, no, I'm gonna do it. He said they had a line going around the block to go and get this ice cream. Now, if that was just an open house, would you get as many people? Definitely not. Would you be cool paying a couple $100 to get a whole line of people that want to give you their information inside your farm? 100%. You take that all day, every day. So when you have a listing, start thinking about what are these events that I can throw? Can I go get a taco truck? This one guy who had in Sacramento, he had I think it was a $3 million listing. He had a mariachi band and tacos being served at the open house. He got 5 listings from that open house. Why? Because those sellers saw that and they were like, heck yeah, this is who I want selling my house. Like, this guy is attracting people to my house. So when we're talking about how to attract more people to that open house, make an event, make it food, point people to the food, and they're going to come to the open house. Because remember, we're not just there to sell that property. We're there to build relationships and gain more people for our database that we can follow up with over time. But again, that creates an amazing experience. Has anyone ever had a free taco and not thought, yeah, I'm happy, right? Everyone's happier because of a free taco. Other thing as far as the food and gifts. Now, if you're in an area that has great local amenities and maybe there's a great local business that for food, go into that local business and see if they'll sponsor some food for you. They will absolutely, if how many people are we getting our open houses right now? Like 30, right? So what?
Yeah. Right.
So if they're guaranteed to be able to get their brand and information in front of more and more people, local, especially mom and pop shops, they're going to take that deal all the time. And especially if that's inside your farm, you want to build that relationship with them anyway. So make sure it's a full circle thing. How can you help promote someone else's brand, get some free things to be able to give from people, and also deliver a great experience to the people who are coming into that open house. The best thing that I had, or the thing I loved the most when I went to an open house, someone had like a little plastic cup and it had like a toothpick and it had like salami, melon balls, like little, I mean, how much does that really take for you to be able to do? And you just walk around the open house and you just see people just eating, enjoying it. Completely different experience than just holding your flyer or your survey, right? They're enjoying food at that time. Scent. Who bakes cookies for their open houses? Who does a scent for their open houses?
Yeah, we should. It's a big one.
Yeah, we don't bake cookies, but we put the scent.
Yeah. No, and you can argue the cookies back and forth, but right, that was the old thing to do, right? Do some fresh baked bread or something like that. It makes the place smell amazing.
There's still an Hero group that does it.
Yeah.
People talk about it.
The smell of the cookies and stuff.
Dude,
Yeah.
the smell, the cookies, they've gotten their recipes down to a science where the cookies are excellent.
Oh, they have their own cookie that they bake there that they know is going to smell
Yes.
amazing. Okay.
In the oven, yeah.
Yeah. See, I think that's fantastic, right?
I hadn't seen them. I do a lot of open houses, and when I walked in, I mean, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And then again, the engagement. Oh, this is, you chop these up. Oh no, we make these. This is our
Exactly.
recipe for the past 5 years. And then you start talking, all of a sudden, if I'm talking to the seller, you got 5 other people going, yeah, try the cookies, they're amazing.
Whole different conversation, right?
Yeah.
It lowers people's walls when we're talking about food, and especially we know smell taste and smell, that's a sense that's gonna really trigger things in people's minds. It becomes emotional for some people. I get emotional sometimes when it's the right cookie. It can bring out some good emotions. The other thing is those things are memorable as well. Right? So when we go into an open house, when you go into one open house and it smells like cookies, and you go into another and maybe it doesn't, that sticks out, right? You can really tell the difference. Now, don't do bacon. I had a couple of people do bacon, and I just do not think bacon is a good one. So Kelsey actually, for Thrive, and I'm sure we'll do it here too, we just purchased a scent. I think we chose it's the same scent that Aria uses in their hotel, but we had I think 20 to 30 different scents that we tried. But we're talking high-end hotels. They all have these scents when you walk in, and every hotel smells the same that you go to. You go into a Hilton, it's going to smell exactly the same way. Caroline Well, right? We went to Silicon City's awards in Gilroy, right? You won lots of awards that day. Caroline talks about she has a scent when she goes into and does her open houses. It's part of her listing presentation that she's communicating to those people that we have a specific scent that we use when we're going to be showing your house off. So if people know that, whatever they cooked the night before or that their kids left on the floor or something that's been sitting in the garbage can, someone's going to come in there and try to mask that and make it show that house at an elevated level. That shows care and process when it comes to getting more listings. So scent, something to take advantage of. Booty machine. Not that kind of booty machine, but I think, does anyone know how much it costs for a booty machine? It's like $100. It's not that much. Yeah, it's really not that expensive, but it is a way different experience than doing this thing than just going, right? So think of those things. You've seen them before?
I've seen them.
Yeah.
Haven't you put that step in?
Yeah,
that's
very,
it.
very easy to use. Now it's a little clunky, right? It's not like a smallish item. But just like when we goes into our sign-in sheets, right? Are we using QR codes? Are we using technology? And I don't think pen and paper is bad by any means. And it's a different experience when someone can just walk up, scan a QR code, their phone's already in their hand, right? It's already sitting there. It's a different experience. So booty machine, again, not a make or break, but if you could walk into a house and not have to put booties on and do a whole different thing or take your shoes off, you could just quickly step into something. You're creating a different experience for people. Again, Nordstrom versus Target. Practice your scripts ahead of time. Practice your scripts ahead of time. Practice your scripts ahead of time. It's simple, and just make sure you know what you're going to say, and so you don't freeze when people walk in there, or you're just kind of ad-libbing when it goes off. And I'm not saying that you need to have these fully orchestrated from the beginning of the conversation to the end of the conversation. You need to know some one-liners and things like you were saying that just lead into further conversation. So think of what's the greeting that I'm going to say when people walk in? What's the objection handler I'm going to use when someone says they have an agent? What's the next question I'm going to ask after that? So you're going to have a couple scripts that you want to follow up with. Make sure you have those scripts, practice them down. All right, what to know? I want to hear from you first. What are the things that you guys focus on to make sure your knowledge is as high as possible before you go do an open house?
Firstly, disclosures of the property.
Disclosures, absolutely.
And square feet, lot size, schools, neighborhood.
Everything, man, why doesn't this one do that? Everything that house has to offer, right?
Because sometimes they ask kind of question and then you don't know, and then you feel like, what's going on? That's you have to prepare for. That's what I do always.
If a potential future seller, 2 years down the line, even walks into that house and you can't say everything about the house, even though it's not your listing, are they impressed? No. So absolutely know everything about the house. Kenny, what were you gonna say?
Pretty much the same thing. If I'm listing an open house, I want to be an encyclopedia of that place. Because if the buyer's gonna ask me, at least I give them a good impression as that I know everything about this place.
Yeah.
For example, if you don't know that thing, but you know how to mold that, that's the thing, like, for example, I don't know, but you have to just make the words according that you know it, but sometimes like I'll get back from the seller, I'll let you know some kind of things that you don't know everything, but still you said, I will get back with that.
Exactly, right,
But
yeah.
it's also important to say, I don't know.
Yes, I was just gonna say,
Because if you say something and then that can get you in trouble, then you're like, okay, well, I said that. And
yeah,
now they have the impression that that's real.
yeah, don't be afraid to say, I don't know, and seek further
You can say, I
information.
don't know, be like, if you put down your information, I will get back to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's a good way to get that.
Pros pro.
So I've noticed that when you say, I don't know, because it's the first thing that came out of your mouth, they tend to remember that.
Mm.
But if you quickly throw in a second phrase right after that, saying, I know just the team that can get me that answer to you. If you give me a few minutes, and give me your information in case they don't get back to me right away, and I will circle back with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't know, sometimes can be a stigma, right? People really absorb that. Are you looking for Tina?
Yeah.
I think she went to an appointment, but she's coming back. Yeah. So yes, make sure you don't say I don't know, but don't be afraid to not know and seek further information. Deepak.
You also need to know what's available on the market in the neighborhood
Mm,
and why
Yes.
your listing is priced the way it is. Because sometimes it's not apples to apples, but they do end up comparing them. So you need to tell them this is the difference and that's why this is.
Are really, besides any tract, condos and townhomes, are there really any apples to apples in these neighborhoods? No. But do they compare them? Yes, every time. And it goes back to what we were saying, that you're trying to sell that house, and your market knowledge of what else is available, what else has closed, what's going on in that neighborhood. The second you show that you have a pulse on it, you're elevated that much more in that conversation with that person. So what I have listed down here was the solds, expireds, cancels, coming soons, actives, and pendings in that area. Just get it down, right? Print out your CMA, read it over and over again. You don't need to know every aspect of the house, but knowing the price, square footage, if it had a pool or something that would distinguish it from, your listing. You want to know those things. So I was talking to, and this is a sad conversation for me, I won't say who it was with, but it was someone from one of our brokerages, and they're like top 5, but they've closed a lot of buyers this year. And I said, so how's it going? They're like, well, I did 6 listings last year, and I'm at 1 so far this year. And so I wish I was doing more listings. And I was like, well, let's talk about that. Like, I love that conversation. He's like, well, I think I need to wait 5 or 10 more years, in the business, and then I'll get more listings. And I was like, what does that even mean? And so he described going on, his aunt was selling a house in Saratoga, who dominates Saratoga, Andy C. So she called Andy out to do the listing appointment. He was like, hey, can I just be there? Like I'm your nephew or whatever, your partner, and hear everything that he has to say. And so he listened to it, and he gives me all the talking points. Came in, knew everything about the market, said this one's similar to this one that sold. Oh, it compares nicely to this. Oh, you have this, so that means this, right? Just knew everything about it, and was leading the conversation, and said, hey, if you wanted to sell this off market, I have a cash buyer who would buy this house right now. Are you interested in selling it off market? He's like, I could never do that. You have 300 plus agents. Who has a cash buyer in Saratoga right now? Anyone here? Okay, that would have been really cool if one of you were here. But the percentages are pretty high that someone of our 300 agents, and even more if you count Silicon City in there, 500 agents has a cash buyer for that property. So letting people know ahead of time, especially if you're listing, letting people know what could be potential on the market. Now we're talking more of a listing, less of an open house, but letting people know what's going on in the marketplace and showing your market knowledge is absolutely key to get more listings. That's who they trust to go get more listings. Does anyone come up against, you're doing something in Sunnyvale and they say, well, how many homes have you sold in Sunnyvale? Like that actually matters to getting that home sold. But that happens, right? Where people want the neighborhood expert. So give them what they want. Show that you are the neighborhood expert. Know the stats. Schools and local amenities. Again, make sure you understand that stuff. If it's important for people to know how many parks are there, if there's a community center, right? Different things, like if there's a place where kids can go and learn dance and different things like that. Absolutely have the knowledge of what that stuff is. Buyer financing products. So Travis actually has a very good story about this. Travis, the productivity coach in the office, he was taking a listing. Now he actually, it was one of our agents who will go nameless, had a listing, and he held the house open for them. And the sellers were secret shoppers, came into the house, and they, you know, obviously Travis didn't know this, but they didn't like how the listing agent had been promoting the property. Felt like nothing was being done. And Travis's open house compared to the agent's previous open house, night and day. More signs, and the key thing that sold them was Travis knew of some buyer financing products that weren't just, yes, I can help you get financing. It was, there's this program, you should check it out. Now, did Travis know those programs in and out? No. You know what he pulled up? Emails from lenders that had sent him stuff, selling him on the products, and he said, oh, well, there's this one for first-time home buyers that you may qualify for, and boom, right there, they were sold. He took that listing. They canceled with the other guy and went with Travis because of that. So make sure you have those financing products on hand and you know what's going on. And the other key one, the HOA. I've heard too many stories of HOAs not sharing minutes and different things like that. So you need to get as much as possible, because HOA can absolutely dictate more money being put in by the seller for no reason. Well, not no reason, but without knowledge. We've had multiple scenarios where the minutes weren't included or the minutes weren't updated, and there were going to be increases in the HOA because of flooding, and also a lawsuit happened, but they weren't included in the minutes. So just make sure your knowledge of the HOA, if there is HOA, everything, make sure you know it.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people when they come in, townhouses or condos. Big question is, are there any rental restrictions here? Basically, they're investors, more than likely, or they're buying this property and they know they're gonna sell up in 3 years and rent this one out.
Exactly.
So, and that's an easy one, really popular to people.
And if it's not your listing, ask the listing agent that. They should know that. And then when they don't know that, you go, oh, I need to be better than this person, right? I should show you. All right, so for me, this is part of the key to running a fantastic open house. It's your setup ahead of time. So first thing, if it's your listing, now, if you know there's a cereal box out or something going on in the counter, could you put something in a cupboard? Could you take pens out and put them into a drawer? Absolutely. But I don't recommend, if it's not your listing, you restaging the property by any means. So make sure you're not doing that. Be respectful of someone else's house that's not your listing. And if it is your listing, make sure the sellers know that home needs to look beautiful when you walk in through those doors. You don't want kids' clothes all over the place. You don't want a full laundry basket, whatever it may be. Make sure the house is nice and tidy, like you're going into Nordstrom, not like you're going in the Target and they're restocking the shelves. This is simple. Turn on lights and open curtains. I would say the key thing that I always think about is fresh air is just great. No one's ever against fresh air unless you got something crazy going on. There's a smokehouse next door, but make sure you're opening that stuff up. It may seem small, and when people walk into places and it already has closed walls, if you're a condo or whatever it may be, and it feels tight when you're in there, make sure that light is abundant so that it feels a little bit more open. Put out the signs early, like we talked about. Who's done a custom welcome mat? So our team in Sacramento, we had a custom welcome mat that said, welcome, we're glad you're here, had our branding on it, and it told them to please sign in when they came in. But a custom welcome mat is that experience starts the second they get to the doorstep. And you just take it with you everywhere you go. Holds up nicely. But custom welcome mat, small greeting sign. So when you have a counter or anything like that, have like one of your little listing panels, right? If you don't have the opportunity, it's not your listing, it's not your sign outside, put a little listing panel on the countertop with your cards. Again, it just shows up more professional. when you have a whole setup there for an open house. Sign-in sheet, tablet, survey. I don't believe in anyone who says they don't use sign-in sheets. I think it's wizardry or witchcraft that they're using, that they say that they can get everyone's name. There's this gal in Texas who doesn't take anyone's information down. She only kind of like picks and chooses. You got a group of 20 people, and then she's like, oh, I'm going to connect best with that person, and goes off the field of the conversation. And that's just who she focuses on. She wants one appointment from every open house. And I think that's well and great, and have a sign-in sheet. Especially in today's day and age, everyone will sign in because of COVID, and they want to know who's been through a house and things like that. So usually you can get everyone to sign in. Who uses a tablet for sign-in?
I use the open house app.
Yeah. How'd it work?
I got everyone to sign in that came in, so worked for.
Simran, were you saying that you use a tablet?
No, we want to. I think that's something we need to upgrade to just make it more. But what is understood as a challenge on that piece especially is that people will give you the wrong phone number or even the wrong email.
Yeah.
And here I have this tablet that's straight away dropping it on command, and now I have a data that I need to start cleaning up.
Well,
So-
either way, you wouldn't have had the right contact info if they wrote it down, right? They weren't gonna write down the
Yeah,
right
so
one.
both ways I have that challenge.
Always,
I'd like to
always a
overcome
challenge.
That challenge, I'm saying to the open house host, that since you're having this connection with them, you know, whatever phone number they put in, call that right away. And say, you know what, I was just making sure that I can text you this at a later point. I just want to make sure that I was able to reach you when I have this information to give you. That way you validate that phone number right there.
Yeah.
Email could still be wrong, but at least one of the two is validated.
We're gonna talk more about how to get the right info.
Yeah, we struggle with that, plenty.
I'm a little more old school, so I have a sign-in sheet, but I also want to make sure they're actually writing something significant that is also legible.
Legible is key.
If it's also on a QR code, I'm not sure what they're putting down, because I don't really see onto the other end of it.
Yeah,
But if I make a real true connection, I just hand on my phone, and then they put in the contact number right there.
yeah.
So that it's more genuine, and it's pretty, you know, you can see it right there.
So I agree with the QR code that unless you have an automatic, like you get a notification that someone's filled out, which a lot of them do. You can have that, like if you're using a Google Sheet or whatever, that can let you know immediately when someone fills it out. But with QR codes, yes, you find that as an issue. There are apps you can use now that do automatically let you know when someone has signed in, you got the full contact info. But these are, I think it's always gonna be a struggle. And we're gonna talk about how to get that down. And that's where the conversation piece is happening after, like you were saying. You want to make sure you're developing a conversation around anything so that then you can say, well, I do have a piece of value. You want me to send you more about this home buying product? Do I have the right phone number for you? Have you ever had anyone correct their phone number? I have. You know what? Let me give you a better phone number is what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they gave me a home number and then they realized that I'm trying to send them something which they want on their phone. So now they say, okay, I'll give you a cell phone number. And 100%, the number they gave me prior was not a good number.
For sure, yeah.
Also on our team, we also bring a blank buyer's consultation packet.
Oh, yeah, but you have.
Love that.
So it's just very generic, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, either as printed out or on your laptop, because sometimes you also have an opportunity to, you know, give a consultation a bit after, when they come back, or if it's really quiet and you might be able to just do it there.
I think I forgot to put that in. Yes, I did. It should have went under display local amenities, but yes, having a blank listing and buyer, have that info readily available so that you can get into it. All right, display other active homes. Now, this was I don't know if it was secret sauce. I don't know what it was. It was the first 2 open houses I did with this agent, and he would go in and he would tape to the counter. Now we were in Sacramento in 2012. It was a little different time. But we would tape to the counter, just comps, other actives, and things of information that we think they would be interested in. Why do you think we would tape it down rather than just have flyers sitting out? They can't take it, right? What do they do? I'll take one of these, one of these, one of these, and then they're leaving with the whole stack that just sits down in their car. But what we created was this scenario. 3 people looking down. And that's what you want to create. So what we did, and again, and then if I ever had so we had a seller say this to us one time, hey, I noticed at the open house, you had other properties listed on the countertop. How come you weren't just trying to sell our home? And what do you think what's the rebuttal to that?
Trying to showcase how nice yours is compared to the others.
Exactly. And Deepak, you brought it up earlier. We need to justify the price from time to time. People don't just walk in the house and they're like, hot dang, this is a great deal, right? So you need to help them show and feel more confident that look at this price with what you get versus this one that doesn't have it. What were you gonna say?
Plus, it shows to your seller that you did a lot of due diligence in showing factual information before you made that decision to help that person with that piece of information.
Yes. So the properties that we would always put on the countertop would be 1 bedroom bigger or 2 bedroom, 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom smaller or bigger. Smaller yard or larger yard, no HOA, and then nearby cities with similar quality. Now, it depends on where you're at, that some of this, may not be a thing that you can really do, but you want pieces of information in front of them that are going to ignite a conversation. Are you going to put all the photos out there? No, you're not. You're just going to put the specs of the house where it's at. Now, could they just open their phone and probably find it? 100%. But the reality is that's in front of them and you have a better chance of getting more information or them asking a question about a property. What do you know about this one that's for sale down the road? We saw it on Redfin too. What do you know about it? Should you know something about it? 100% you should know something about it. But now you're in the world with them versus if it's just on their phone, which it may be on their list to go see, or they're thinking about, yeah, maybe go look at that one, a little bit of a smallish living room. Right. And then when they say, what do you think about this house right here? How does it look? Now you have some more information that you can give them. So again, starting more conversation. And then display local amenities. So again, when we're sending out stuff to our database, like a market report or anything like that, are they going to open that up every month? No, they're not. The point of it is that we want them seeing our information consistently. What are they going to open up more though? Activities that are going on in the neighborhood. It's events that they can attend. They're not going to care as much about what's going on in the marketplace every month, but they do care about what's going on in the neighborhood and how we can affect or things that they can take their kids to. So displaying stuff like this, again, can ignite more conversation. You have a little girl who comes into the open house and maybe she's wearing, like a little ballerina outfit or something like that. Are there local dance studios, right? Are there any of that stuff over there? A kid comes in wearing a baseball uniform. Is there a place to play baseball out there? Do they play baseball in the neighborhood? Do you know the local stuff that goes on inside the neighborhood? So get as much of that information as possible. All right, let's talk lead gen. Anything else that you guys would include as far as your setup or what you display at your open house? I have some more things that are in lead generation as far as displays too. All right. Who's done a neighbor exclusive open house? I think Kevin brought it up first. Talk to me about it. How did it go?
It went pretty good. We did it in Cupertino. The neighbors, as if they were just waiting for that open house. They just.
You had a pretty unique one, yeah.
Yeah, they just came in, they spent a lot of time, they were in every nook and corner of the home. There were like a couple of ladies who came in first, spent half an hour, then went back and then brought their husbands to show the remodel or the updates and stuff like that. And we had lots of good things to say about the house. That just tells you, I mean, they have the sample set of prospective buyers who want to be coming.
Exactly. And
prospective listings for you.
prospective listings. This is like you going, hey, Deepak, I would like to invite you to my fake open house so that I can show you, if you hired me as a listing agent, how I would put your home on display. That's my mindset when I'm going to do a neighbor exclusive. If they have a buyer, they're going to bring the buyer anyway, right? That was already going to be a thing that happens. You knocking on the door and saying, hey, I have a neighbor exclusive. And they're like, finally, I can now go see the house before I send it to my friend who I want to move into the neighborhood, right? That's not a thing.
You're like auditioning for.
It's an audition, right? It's time for the dog and pony show. You gotta show them what you can do. So to me, if you can do a neighbor exclusive open house, you do them every time, and that is the one. That is a big, big one. Do it a little bit later in the evening, get a little twilight feel going on with it. You can really, really build some relationships with that, and you know who's coming through the door, right? It's not buyers walking through the door. You don't have to worry about that, those certain conversations. Are you gonna cut your commission? Are you gonna do this? It is just a sheer showcase of this property, and they're gonna ask you questions about the property, and it's a great test run before you do the open house the next day, right? You're getting actual pertinent questions, probably more than what some buyers would ask. Oh, do they have this problem? Or do they have this? Our house has this, right? You get a little bit more in-depth stuff. Yeah.
I don't see this hardly ever anymore. I remember when I first started, I used to do one in Dublin with the gal. She would do it from like 11 to 1 and do like a brunch, bring everybody on Fridays. But now Fridays seem to be for the twilight tour, which get a lot of buyers too. But yeah, I don't see the neighbor thing, neighbor exclusive very much at all anymore. Do you guys?
I don't see much of, I don't get to see all the fun stuff unless I'm the one actually go down there. I mean, I hear, like I talked to Deepak before he did his neighbor exclusive. I've talked to people who do them, but yeah, I don't see, and you don't usually see that advertised, right? It's kind of a more internal thing. The only other thing I could think about is sellers in the last like 3 years are kind of like, nah, just get people in, get them out, like sell this sucker. I know it's gonna go 200,000 over asking. So there is a little bit of a pitch you have to do to your sellers, you know, to have them do it. But
Yeah, I know, one agent who did it spectacularly well, Nanny Baker. She used to do the neighbor exclusive because she, you know, had a fantastic farm in Santa Clara, specifically like just for her neighborhood. And she would do the neighbor exclusive and have all the neighbors guess tell how much it'll sell for. And then have like a prize for it.
there you go.
And then
Yeah.
post the open house, and then have a post party after everything's sold, neighbors again.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So she would do a party with the neighbors after the house sold.
Back at the house.
At the house after, like it's pending, someone else is buying it, and they just throw another rager before the buyers take it over. Oh, fascinating. That's interesting. I've never heard that one before.
Eric, so the big twilight tours that are going on, I've posted quite a few houses with a KW guy, as a matter of fact, and you gotta have someone there with you, but it's huge. You get all these neighbors in, and they go, oh my gosh, they still have this old cabinet like this, it's crazy, we ripped it out, we opened it all up. And he'll get them talking about it,
Oh,
and then he'll go to their place, say, can I see that so that I can tell the buyers when they come in, give them ideas? But he's doing two things.
yeah.
He's just solidifying that relationship about how great of a guy he is, so when they're ready to buy, or their kids are ready to buy, but also getting these great ideas for potential buyers coming in who can't visualize, like, oh, this is a small kitchen.
I love that. I've never heard that as an excuse before. But for door knocking, that's one of the key things is start asking the neighbors what they love about the neighborhood. That helps you in two ways. One, do people ever shy away from sharing what they love about a neighborhood? No. Let me validate why I spent the money I spent to move into this area. Number two, you're building rapport with that person. And now you're hearing their insights and what they find valuable. Oh, there's a great little park down here. Oh, fantastic. You value that there are parks nearby, right? So you're getting more information when you're asking these questions about what people love. But I love that one, Clara. That's great. Door knocking. So yes, there's tons of scripts you can use. You can say, hey, this is a chance for you to pick your neighbor, right? We're going beyond that. Go straight for value. First one, pull records. You have a little bit of older demographic, they get a CMA. You have people like in the 40s and 50s, could be empty nesters in several years, they get CMAs. So start, people who have a ton of equity, they get CMAs. Now, it's a little harder in the Bay Area because a lot of people have equity right now, especially. So you might just be making CMAs all over the place, but pull the data from your local escrow title officer and get some information to see. Property Radar is another good one that you can see some information, but you want to provide CMAs when you go door knocking. And also after you have a great conversation with someone, you provide them a CMA, but create these random CMAs that you're going to go out there and do. You'll get more response by you giving someone a presentation rather than just talking to them about a open house that's coming down the street. Vendor list. So I always am a key fan of you have to leave value behind before you leave a house, or if you're going to knock on a house. If you're going to come to my door, don't just update me on what's going on across the street, right? I could get that anywhere else. So make sure you are giving something or you're asking something that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get. Bless you. Circle dialing. So I put this in there. It's a very cold thing to do, right? You're not going to get a ton of response, but my main thing for saying you should do some circle dialing or do slide dial now. Slide dial, has anyone ever used slide dial before? Essentially where you just voicemail drop people and you could be like, oh, Kenny, sorry I missed you, man. But and you say the thing, but really you just drop the voicemail in there. The thing that this does is it allows for another touch. So I would do the circle dialing or the voicemail drop, and then I go door knocking, right? Or I go door knocking and then I do the voicemail drop. Hey, you may have seen my flyer on the doorstep. So now it's the second time they're hearing my name, either hearing my voice, whatever it may be, but it's another touch on top of that. So if we want to be as efficient as possible in getting as many touches into a neighborhood, especially if it's our farm, I would always recommend doing some circle dialing, even if it's not a ton. And don't even go into it with the mentality of, oh, I need to get several appointments from doing the circle dialing. It's how many connections are you making when you do that circle dialing. So make sure you are getting as many touches in as possible. Video. Who's watched like a Ryan Serhant video of him talking about open house or anything like that? Has anyone seen that? Are they captivating? Yeah, it's pretty nice. Usually shares something cool about the property. So don't think like, oh, I'm trying to make this viral video. You're creating evergreen content that people can see, but you're showing your database that you're out there working, that you're out there hustling, you're making things happen. So show off your favorite features inside the house. Oh my gosh, this has amazing Savage cabinets, right? Or, oh my gosh, look at the Lazy Susan that this has, whatever it may be. But go in, find a feature, shoot a quick video. Show your personality in that video. No one likes a wet towel. No one likes that. Does anyone else use that? I use that a lot, wet towel. Make sure your personality is shining through when you're doing this stuff, but put out a video and then highlight the neighborhood. Talk about what's going on in the neighborhood. Beautiful 123 Main Street house. It has this local amenities here, doing this, doing that. Short videos. It's also going to get you into the right habit of you should be creating videos all the time. So if you have it as the habit that I do an open house, I shoot a quick 30-second, 1-minute video. The other thing that it does, again, it's that showing off to neighbors how you highlight a property. This is stuff when someone's scrolling. What if they see your video? That's again another touch. The way algorithms work, they are more likely to get that video than anyone else because of where they are located and what they're clicking on. I saw someone. I was watching a video yesterday about how like algorithm works, and there was this one where like a guy was behind a woman at a baseball game or a basketball game, and she's like deleting text messages like from like another guy, and he's like, I don't know, Ethan, if you know this, but she's deleting messages from a guy named Chris, so I'm just gonna let the algorithm do its thing. And like sure enough, boom, Ethan pops up, like he's there. He's like, oh my gosh, you know, my girl's doing something else. So the power of algorithm is great. And it's bad and scary sometimes, but make sure you're putting stuff out there so you can let it go to work. Kenny, what were you gonna say?
And it's also really important that you create your own offers, like offer for immediate responses, because you're your own content creator
Yes.
as it's happening. So you can have before and after pictures of, what the listing agent had done prior to the work, now that you're hosting the open house. And that way, it's just an extra incentive behind the scenes as to like how they prepped it and look at the end result before you.
Yeah. Mofers are huge as far as lead generation in an open house. We're gonna talk about that. It's gonna help solve your sign-in sheet problem. Lead generation, calling the leads, looking in the area and offer a private viewing before the open house. Now, you don't need to say, hey, I'm doing an open house, but now you have access to that house around certain time periods. So Deepak, this was something that you used when you had that listing in Cupertino. You weren't getting a percentage of the deal, but now you had an excuse to call your Cupertino people and say, hey, I have a listing coming up. Would love to give you a private tour if you wanna check it out. So again, don't leave any stones unturned. Click through, you're doing something in Saratoga, call all the Saratoga people, let them know what's going on. People will respect you for it. Yes, they may ignore you, and they're gonna know this person's got stuff going on. The agent, now, you never spam anyone and you never want to pester someone just constantly. And there's a happy medium in there where it goes from I'm being pestered and annoyed to this person's not even working, or they're just waiting for me to raise my hand and go do all the work and then they collect the commission. So there's something in the middle there of Deepak works, Deepak hustles, and he's there for my best interest. And you want to find yourself somewhere in the middle there. So make sure you're letting people know what's going on if they're looking in that area. Asking leading questions. So what are your first impressions of the property was our favorite one. Getting people's, split second, tell me what you think of this property when you first walk in the doors. What is your favorite or your least favorite thing about this property? Again, we just want to get people talking so that we can build that relationship and develop a further conversation down the line. What did you like most or least about this property? Why is this question so important?
It's an open-ended question.
You're going to get an answer. Absolutely. Follow up.
Feedback too about the property.
Yeah, again, I'm more of the mindset of how you can sell them on something later, right? They're probably not going to buy that property. But yes, it's giving you insight as far as if it is your listing, why it's not selling, or it is going to sell, or why you may not get the price. But now when I'm going to do follow-up, what do I have? I have what they liked and what they didn't like. So I know now what's important to them. And now when I'm asking them dialogue, I'm digging deeper into that. Well, you mentioned that you didn't like that it had a pool. So I have a couple properties right here that don't have a pool, or sorry, that it did have a pool, and I have a couple properties that don't have a pool, similar square footage backyard. I actually have some showings set up for this house. Would you like to go take a look at it? Right? So you want to make sure that when you're having conversations and you're using scripts, you're using ones that connect deeper with them rather than just your open-ended everything, right? All the time, hoping to get as much information as possible. Make sure you're taking that information, you're hearing it, and you're developing further conversation from it. And then to me, this one was key for another conversation that we're going to have is how does this property compare to others you have seen? Why do we ask that question?
To get some feedback back to the sellers.
Feedback back to the sellers, yes. What else does that question do though?
See if they're actively looking.
See if they're actively looking. How serious are they in the marketplace right now? If they say, oh, well, we just kind of stumbled in here. Okay, a little bit of a colder lead. If they say like, oh, actually, I'm surprised that you guys have it listed this high. This one over here was listed much lower, whatever it is, right? You know that these are people active in the marketplace. All right. So we're talking about those mofers. Yeah, Kenny.
I just want to also remind, the agents also in the room here that if you're able to peel back some of these questions, and that's really, really good questions, this is where you'll be able to get appointments at these open houses. That's also your goal. And this is where if you're able to work on scripts, it's going to be extremely important, of really fine tuning and really getting to where they want to be at. And what's their motivation for their search and how their timeline is going along.
Well, yeah, and I definitely did not put enough we could go on for hours as far as questions you can ask. And that's why I say asking leading questions, because you're not looking for yes or no. We don't want that. We want to go, I like you say peel back the layers, right? Go the onion. I say, go 3 deep, right? I didn't like this house because it didn't have a pool. Oh, so tell me more about that. You know, is a pool something that is a must have in the backyard that you're going to buy? Is the house that you're currently in have a pool, right? Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, so we're talking about MOFRs, Kenny. Offer education. Now, this is where those QR codes can come into play. But take it beyond just what's going on at that open house. Have first-time homebuyer seminars, have and home seller seminars, have trust seminars, have investing ones, 1031 exchange. So do you have to have a seminar already scheduled? Not necessarily. You should if you're gonna like have a date or something on there, but you can also have additional information as well. If you would like our first-time home buyer packet, right? Just go ahead and scan this QR code and we'll get it sent. We'll get it sent to you. If you're thinking about moving up, you're a move up seller. You want to sell this house before you buy the next one. Go ahead and scan this, right? You want to give them a little bit of a carrot, but they have to give you the information first. Another really key one, and this should be, I mean, I hope everyone's doing this. Does anyone offer the off-market properties when you're at your open house? So what does that look like? What does your guys' script sound like as far as off-market properties to get the appointment?
I should say, if you're looking at the area, have some off-market property which are not in the market, I can share with you, something like that.
Yeah.
Just to get their attention, and then, for example, the area, I can pick on the MLS sometimes, you know, from the investors, you know, and property I share that, will probably do that.
You can also leverage brokerage where it's not just us here in Santa Clara Valley, but we're really close to KLP Thrive in Silicon City. And that also means we have listing agents from both of those locations that we work closely with, and they have, coming soon off markets that you're able to keep access.
If you're going to do a listing in Los Altos, Cupertino, wherever it may be, call the top producers in our offices and say, hey, Kenny, do you have anything coming up in Los Altos or Saratoga? Just ask. And he absolutely probably does. We did the roundtable a couple of weeks ago, and every person had 2 to 3 listings that they had coming up on the market. So you always have off-market inventory. You just have to think outside the box. Expires, FSBOs, coming soons on the MLS. You have this data. The key thing is the MOFR that's in there. You have something they want. You need to have it attached to an appointment with you. Don't just give it to them, right? Something that worked really well for us is we had a little sign that said, stay up to date on properties before they hit the market. They scanned the QR code and asked 3 questions, their name, their contact info, and then it said, are you working with a real estate agent? That was it. And then they got a call from us. We qualified them to be able to give them the list because we respect our clients' privacy. And so we would never just send out a list of homes that are not yet on the market, because you could go knock on their door and try to pester them. And you say, we've had that happen before. I have had that happen before. So you have to meet with me first. I have to qualify you, and then you'll get those list of people that we can reach out to. But these are easy ones to be able to give to your prospective clients that are coming in there to be able to get that appointment. I would argue right now, besides the deep connection, right? So I would always tell you, you should be going deep with relationship. The sales part of it, like when you go into an open house or they're talking to an agent, they can get a lot of the information that you're probably sharing online. So make sure that you're asking questions like Kenny's saying, and building deeper and deeper rapport. But if you can't get an appointment that way, it's going to these MOFRs to be able to, I have more information that you want, meet with me so you can find out more about it. This was the script that we always used for our open houses when people walked in. Like I was telling you before, we practice scripts, some objection handlers and different things like that, but we would keep it simple as far as what you need to know for the open house. And it was, the key one was that greeting, that first greeting, to kind of set them off into the world of your open house and how it was going to go from there. If you were doing like a survey or anything like that, your greeting would look a little different. Here's a seller survey. They would love to get your feedback on the home. If you could give me back that clipboard before you leave so that I can look at the survey. So this one was, thanks for coming to my open house today. People who come to my open houses for 1 to 2 reasons. They are thinking about buying, or they're wondering what their home is worth. Which one are you? What does this kind of script do?
It eliminates who they are.
Everything, right? You're specifically asking 2 questions and they can only answer those 2 questions. Now, can some people go, oh, no, I'm just looking? Sure, absolutely. But most people end up answering this question the right way. Does anyone else have any greeting that they use that helps them out for open houses? Does anyone ever use the surveys? What are your greetings for open house? Deepak and then Ken.
Okay.
You guys are right in line with each other.
So I just greet them and I tell them, feel free to take a look around and let me know if you have any questions. I pretty much never ask them a question up front. That's just me.
Yeah.
And then once they look around and kind of see their body language, like if they are involved or they're just like looking for the sake, just because it kind of was on their way. And then based on that, I decide my questions. And sometimes you could just tell they are neighbors because they are so familiar with everything. So I ask, are you one of the neighbors or you're actually looking for a house for yourself? So it all depends on them. I let them spend some time and then train what would be my first question.
Okay.
I keep it super casual. I always welcome to the open house. And then I ask them, would you like to give me a private tour or could I give you a quick rundown of the place? And then this is where you're able to give them all the stats and be knowledgeable about the property.
That is a very common one. And I would say that was our other one that we would use is, do you want a private tour? Or would you like us to get, would you like a private tour where I'll give you the rundown or let you kind of do a self-pacing tour? I just realized that we missed, I missed something in here. I didn't put it in here. Features about the home. So who puts little signs up on different features for each room around the home? Kenny, you guys do that?
Yeah, it's a really big home that highlights a lot of feature. They're more intricate. Then we'll put those little labels out there with this, with information, like a Tesla charger or solar panel. If you're in Santa Clara, electricity bill is this low, then you want to, highlight that. Whatever, things that really stands out in the home, those are the things you want to showcase.
For me, it's a must. So does every person want to tour the house with you? No, they don't. So how can you kind of show them what you're about and your skill level without actually actively being there? And it's a fantastic way to do it.
It also helps a person who's just hosting your open house and who's not the listing agent.
Yes.
Like if I go in and if I see those there, I would just do a quick walkthrough of the house and read all of them. Because people don't necessarily sometimes read them and they ask you the questions. So you show up as prepared.
You're that much more knowledgeable because of it. Yes, love that. I already have a realtor. So I actually just shared this one with Sarah the other day. Now I'm a firm believer of do unto others, right? Whatever I do to someone, they're going to do it back to me. So if I'm trying to snake buyers away from other agents, I know agents are going to snake buyers away from me. So I try to use karma and only ask further questions to make sure that they're not just pushing me off. So this was a question that we would always use. Oh, fantastic. You're working with an agent. That makes me happy. Again, who's heard me talk about my trust triangle? One of the key things to building trust with someone is empathy, that you actually care that they're being serviced at the highest level possible. So you say, fantastic that you have an agent. You're being represented. You have someone helping you. are you currently touring homes with them, or do they just have you on a property search? This tells me two things. One, if they're active in the market, and two, what is that real estate agent doing with them? Is it someone they met at an open house and they're like, yeah, Kenny's decent enough, I'll go ahead and just take his property search? Or are they actively doing stuff with that agent? And then it's your choice if you want to just let this pause right here and wait for their response, or you can go right in. The reason that I asked is I wanted to make sure that you're seeing properties before they hit the market to avoid the competition if possible. Again, there's that empathy. I just want to make sure that you're taken care of. Now, if every person walks into my open house is signing in, does that mean I'm following up with this person? Absolutely, I'm following up, even if they have a real estate agent. So now the second time I'm meeting with them, I'm gonna have this that I knew that I said to them. And so now I could have that opportunity. And I mentioned to you those off-market properties. Is your agent sending that to you? Now, if they really do not want to work with you, they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm good. Like, we're fine. And that's okay, right? Not everyone's gonna be for us. But now we have a second opportunity to dangle that carrot out there, off-market properties that haven't yet hit the market. Wait, you're telling me that my agents could be giving me something that hasn't hit the market yet? I'm just on a property search with someone. We have an insane amount of agents in the marketplace, insane. And they are not all quality. You want to hear this crazy stat? Only 8%, you ready for it? Only 8% of real estate agents have closed 4+ houses this year out of the whole agent population. Now, that's not just in the Bay Area, that's all over the US. Only 8%. So if you've closed more than 4 this year, congrats, you're in the 8% of the upper echelon of real estate agents this year. So the reality is they may not have a quality agent that's either working with them or they're just trying to push you off. We got to do it in a respectful way, and you just ask questions around it. Don't ever try to snake someone away, and you make sure that they're getting the full service that they should be getting, showing what you do. All right, follow up. Call right away, either that evening or the next day, to update them on the property. A follow-up needs to happen immediately so that it's warm, it's hot, they remember who you are. They probably went to 3 other open houses that day. And it's also a fantastic thing to jokingly say, hey, I'm one of the 4 open houses you probably went to on Sunday. Do you remember me? Right? So be charming, of course, be fun. Follow up 10 days straight if no contact is made. This is my rule for any lead or any relationship that's new in my life. You make sure that you're following up for 10 days after the fact. If they inquired on your website, if they called on the sign, if they went into your open house, 10 days straight, follow-up conversation. If you haven't made any contact with them. Is there anyone doing like this, have rules that tight?
So you said 10 days straight, I think it's consecutive. So 10 touches?
If they have it, if you've talked to them on the second day, then no, I don't go another 8 days after that. I go based off of whatever that conversation was. Meaning essentially you had that initial meeting with them, either they inquired on the website or they went into your open house and signed in. Then after that, you need to have another conversation with them to make sure that they're a real potential for you.
This is really interesting. We just do 6 touches over 2 weeks. So 3 touches every week. But we'll make sure we call at different times. Like a morning call versus afternoon versus evening.
Yeah,
So
that
just
totally
one
works.
variation.
But if they talk, if they answer, do you keep doing the other touches?
So if they answer, then we check in with them to see what next, and then based on that conversation.
Yeah.
we take it out. But if we have no contact, then 3 touches per week, every consecutive day, not every day. But this seems like even more tighter.
Yeah, well, I think either or works, honestly. The key is to have a consistency after the open house. I met with this agent last week. She does, I think in the last 12 months, she's done about 60 something million. And she's done 40 listings during that time. So she's a heavy listing agent. very low on the buy side. We have Vinicius Brazil, who's the exact same way in Cupertino. They tend to just focus on the listings, but they do open houses. And they let all those people who sign in, they just wither away on the vines. That's it. So the key is to keep the flame going when the spark has happened, right? You want to keep fanning it as much as possible. The other thing is these people, and I agree that open houses are leads that can be long plays as well. People wander in the open houses, just wandering in the open houses. So this doesn't mean 10 days and then you shut them off by any means. It just means 10 days straight, get into contact with them, show them that you're serious. And especially, we know that we'll get warm buyers into open houses. So we want to make sure that we are there to be able to catch them if they are someone who's going to make an offer immediately. Have off-market properties ready to offer. This could be coming soon. This could be calling someone in the office and finding if anyone has anything coming up. But have off-market properties ready to say, hey, Gagnadeep, it was great meeting you at the open house. Did you need any further information? I have the disclosure package ready to send you if you'd like any more information. Oh, no, I'm good. Okay, fantastic. Since you're not interested in making an offer on this place, are you active in the marketplace right now and want to make an offer on anything else? Or what are you currently doing? Oh, I'm not doing anything, or blah, blah, blah. Okay, fantastic. Well, just so you know, I do have 2 properties available that are coming to market or are off market that are actually the similar criteria to that house. Would you have any interest in taking a look at those? Right? Different. Now it's the right hook from my little jab, and then I come in with something of value. So make sure when you're doing the follow-up, you have something big that you can share with them that's not just traditional that every other person is going to be able to do. So make sure you have the off. Yes.
I do have a question. So yesterday I was in open house and I tried a coming soon or off market and I put it there. People come and see it and then they asking, is it your listing? And I say, no, it's like coming soon that I know. And then they ask, is it going to be on the market? When it's going to be on the market? Is it going to be on the market? So what should you say?
If they're asking if it's your listing coming up on the market.
Like first they're asking like, is it going to be on the market?
Oh, but I always tell them it depends. It depends if they get any offers beforehand.
Okay. So like if you are interested, I could follow up and ask the listing agent.
Well, so you're saying you put a list of the properties at the property at the open house?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that I don't do that to stay away from that exact question.
Right.
Because I don't want to have that conversation there with them around the property. I want to get another appointment where it's just us one-on-one, having that conversation, and then we're in more rapport. We're talking about their home buying process. Does that make sense?
So you mean like you're not gonna show right there, but like if they starting to talk to you and then maybe later on, if they are interested in that, then you can say that in that conversation later. Or
Yes, exactly.
you're not gonna show there. I got you. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So I always try to keep it as a MOFR so that I'm getting the appointment after. If I give them everything at the open house, then they don't have any use for me after the fact.
Right.
The whole goal is you want to get in front of them so then you can build a rapport, again, use that charm and be able to solidify them as a relationship. Because then everything else after that, it doesn't matter. They trust you as the agent.
Yeah.
But whenever someone asks me if they are going to put a house on the market, I tell them it all depends on the activity that they get beforehand.
Yeah, that's a smart answer.
Always keep them in mind if there's motivation. So you should, you should always make sure that you're following up with your open house lead first 10 days. Yes. And to me, an open house lead doesn't die until it's literally they are either completely out of the market, they've died, or they've purchased a house. So I always keep them in mind when it comes to, I have a listing that's coming up in the area, I have whatever it may be, I'm always keeping them in mind as far as follow-up is concerned. I just met with someone today, so you guys know that my part of my job is to recruit agents from other brokerages and share them the value of KW and have them join our brokerage. There was someone who was referred to me in March, and I reached out to them, and they weren't feeling well during that time, and they had like a bad cough and things. And several months went by, right? We're in July now, no response, no nothing. And then I get a response last week that says, hey, I'm feeling better now. I'd like to meet with you. Could I have just not sent anything, right? After the first couple, like, oh, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. But there was no response. There was nothing. It was dark. It was just dark. I could have just let it go, but I didn't. I kept sending things out. Hope you're feeling better, right? Sending them information about classes that we had coming, even though he was not raising his hand that he wanted anything to do with it. But I just kept sending it anyway because it was a referral from someone else. So have that in mind with your open house people. When there's something something they could gain from something going on in the market, a home buyer product, whatever it may be, a market update, keep them in mind. Send it to them. Now, I'm not asking you to call these people every month. No, because there are times that it's not going to lead to anything. But constantly have them in the fold as far as the marketing that you're sending out. They should definitely be getting touched on every time. I shared this one with Sarah. She got a good laugh from it. It works. There's two text messages that we use that works. And the reason when I say they work is, do they lead to an appointment? No, they lead to a response. And that's what we want. We want someone to show us that they are actually human on the other side, and that they are, or they're not going to do anything. So we would use this text for one. I love texting, calling, email, and you hate responding. I just want to let you know that I'll keep following up until I hear back from you to make sure I don't drop the ball on what's important to you, right? So it's showing empathy at the bottom. It's what's important to you. It's showing comedy up front. You have the authenticity of who you are. And then it's showing validity in the middle, that I'm going to keep following up with you until you say something to me, right? So it hits on all three aspects of my trust triangle: authenticity, empathy, and validity, to be able to build trust with someone. The other text that we would use is if I have someone who's like an internet lead, and I just sending them properties, but they don't respond to anything, I just tell them, hey, I'm going to take you off the search, which now, obviously in today's day and age, it really doesn't mean anything, because they could just go find it everywhere else online. But like 5 years ago, it worked quite well to get them to say, no, don't take me off the search. I just, we're not buying anything right now. We're not going to sell anything right now. So always, think of different ways so you can get a response, because that's what we want in the follow-up. Is we want to make sure that there's a pulse and there's someone on the other side. Here, another one. I call this like the Hail Mary text. If you have like an old lead or anything like that, tell them, I'm not looking to spam you, but we're seeing more inventory hit the market soon, and I wanted to make sure, I wanted to keep you in the loop if it meets your criteria. So you just ask them, is this something you want? If it's not, that's great, that's okay. But giving them, again, something, we have more things hitting the market. Do you want me to keep you up to date on things that are going on? Oh, I forgot to do a QR code at the end of this one. I was going to say, I'll send you all this, but I forgot the QR code. All right. Technology in your open houses. Now, the reason I love technology in open house is you're doing so much. You may have a ton of people coming in there. Those open house sheets, again, are tough to be legible. I think you might have gotten up, but one of the things that helps with making sure you're getting people to give you the right information with the mopers. So in having something that they would want from you, so you have to have the right information. So some examples of mopers, educational things, off-market properties, stuff like that. So Curb Hero, Spacio, Open Home Pro are fantastic tablet tools that you can use for sign-ins for your property. We always used Open Home Pro, which has gotten a lot better since I used it. They all do very similar things. Spacio is a little bit more of a CRM with it as well. Who has heard of Primer and House View? So you were mentioning that when we do the twilights with the neighbors, and you're saying like, oh yeah, look at this cabinet. So I'm like, well, show me what yours look like so I can kind of give some examples to the buyers. So these two apps are like a VR app where you can, so let's say we're looking at this wall or a backsplash, you can put in backsplashes through the camera. So you're seeing the property, or you're seeing, you know, the fixture, whatever you're looking at, and you can actually put in different things to see, well, what if I put in dark countertops in this, or if I have this property with dark cabinets, you know, and I light up this, whatever it may be, new flooring in there. So there are two cool apps that you can actually use it like VR and be able to put that different stuff in there. So if you have a house, maybe that needs to be updated, or someone's in there and they're like, ugh, the tile here is horrible, or the flooring needs to be ripped up. You can say, well, actually I have a very cool app that I can help you kind of see what it could look like. Can I show you, right? So impress them with technology, Primer and House View. I believe they do cost money. Then Google My Maps. Has anyone used this before? I just learned this one. I have not used this. Google My Maps. So you can essentially create a Google map of amenities in the area, hotspots, different things like that. And then you can give them that link and it has all that stuff listed on there. So again, another good thing that can be a takeaway where people can get the information of what's going on in the neighborhood, and you can customize everything that's in there. So if it's a local spot that you love, you can write little things underneath it that it's, you know, great carnitas, whatever you want to put on there. All right. So that's it. So real quick, I want to touch on the three things that we talked about. So more listings from the open house. This is the door knocking. This is the neighbor exclusive. This is elevating your game in the open house where they have a much more luxury feel. There's a scent, booty machine, right? There's an experience when you walk in that door. This is how you get more listings from your open houses. You are on display. You're essentially a walking business card when people are coming into the open house. Attracting more people to the open house. It's shooting the videos, putting out enough signs. The food truck. Create an event around your open house. That's going to get more people into your open house. And then generating more apps and business from your open house. To me, it's the leading questions. Asking better questions at your open house. Now, doing the things that we just talked about are going to make you look better in the client's eyes, yes. But the way you build the rapport is by following Kenny's lead and asking those leading questions, digging deep with those people, and not just, you know, talking about real estate. Be personal. There's something. If there's something cute, you see a little girl walking in with whatever, and something's cute, call it out, right? You know, they're wearing a Warriors hat and they just won a game. Call it out. Don't feel like you have to be a open house robot and just show them the property. You're there as a human. You're there to build rapport with them and build a relationship. All right, ahas. Are you going to do any of this stuff? Did you just want to hear me talk for an hour and a half?
Be bold and try out these new stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try a few of those tips you gave us just because it will up our game a little bit more. We're doing like 50% of what you just said, and I think the other 50% is really good.
And you guys are the #1 listing agents in the office, so.
I'm gonna try Google my maps.
Yeah. Easy one.
I will do booty thing, the booty machine.
Yeah.
Booty machine. It's a simple thing, right? But it's a pain in the butt to put booties on, especially if you got big feet. Those things are not made for big feet.
It's not graceful.
And,
No.
and they fall apart very quickly too.
Yeah.
Like someone walks in for like maybe 1 or 2 rooms and it's gone.
Yeah.
We always leave a chair next to the door.
You have to.
So then-
You have to.
It's good to be in this too.
When you got that rush at 2:45, everyone's just clogged up right there.
Yeah.
But even the scent, I mean, probably the most simple one, the scent,
Yeah, understand.
it's big.
Well, and the reality is, it goes back to like when people, you want to figure out what's the next best lead generation thing to do. And when we talk, 60 years ago, same lead generation, add in internet now, right? And internet's a big part of it, but it's the same stuff. So it's taking what you're already doing and taking it a step further to where you're really, really paying attention to how those people are experiencing you and experiencing the house. And the reality is what I mostly told you was how to like stage a property at a higher level and have deeper conversations with people. Main thing is we want to get more listings from our open houses. For those efforts, we want more listings. And to get more listings, we have to show up in a higher and better way every time that we do it. All right, give me one more aha.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever met any neighbors stopping by our open house and complaining about something
About the open house?
in front of other buyers, not open house, about.
Oh.
About some noise. Trying to scare our buyers.
No,
I haven't.
Tequila.
we have where somebody came through and kind of like, talk about the price, or talk about, not in a bad light about the home, but just something they didn't like, right? But that's something that you can also try and curb quickly and should focus on something else and highlight more of the better features.
And you can corner them out a little bit. You don't
Exactly.
have to have the main floor. You can say, okay, I'd love to speak more. And take that in the other side, but other people cannot get that.
Are they talking to other prospective buyers in the house? Or are they talking
No,
to
you're
you?
talking to the hosting agent. It happened to one of the, another open house, that's like a couple of units away from you, we're on the same floor. Both hosting open house in the same building. And the neighbor stopped by and complained with the hosting the host agent of another open house and saying, hey, I can hear the steps, I'm living downstairs, and I can hear a footsteps there, something like that.
Hmm.
So the buyer might have the impression that there could be some noise, right, in the building, stuff like that.
When it's things like that, I have had someone talk about a train that they hear and things like that. When it's things like that, we had this risk attorney come out, like first couple of years in the business, and they talked about something that they didn't have to disclose legally, but then the neighbors spilled the beans of what it was, and it still blew everything up, and then they went after the seller, all this different stuff. So I'm kind of the mindset of it's gonna happen eventually, and whether they get in the house and hear the noise or hear the train or whatever, sooner or later that's gonna come up, depending on what it is that person's talking about. When it's a preference like, oh, the blossoms smell and I don't like how it smells, yeah, things like there are preferences and different stuff like that. When it's I have had someone talk about the park and that someone sells marijuana at the park and things like that. And I didn't love that conversation. But the people in the house didn't really listen to them, but.
It's like they're always unhappy neighbors, or we have so many cars parked over on the property.
Yeah. Now, we had a situation where.
Tell them you can sell their house if they don't like a neighbor.
So we had a situation where someone had died at the property, but it was beyond the 36 months timeline, so we did not disclose that in our disclosure set. We knew that that was the case, but we didn't need to disclose it. And then a neighbor spilled that to the people coming into the open house. So we had to acknowledge that, yes, that is the case, but by law, we are not expected to disclose that, so it's not there in the disclosures. But now that you know that, would this still be of interest to you because it was a natural trend?
Yeah, you just kind of have to handle that.
You have
Yeah.
to turn it around.
Yeah.
Whatever best you can make it.
So I have a good one for you guys. This was in our brokerage in Roseville in Sacramento. There was so the buyers bought the house. Everything was good. Everything was happy. Then they talked to the neighbor that was across the street, and the neighbor was like, yeah, I can't believe you bought that property. It's crazy. Yeah, a couple of years ago, a drunk driver just drove through the front of the house and like tore up this, and this. And so we like found out some disclosure issues after the fact. And it was like it was like, oh, I think it was a celebrity who did it. And so it was like a big news story about it. And the board or whoever sided in favor of the buyers because that should have been disclosed, that nothing needed permits or anything like that. But because the house was like in the news media and things like that, that it should have been disclosed to the buyer. So I've had a weird one like that in our brokerage. But neighbors are always going to, they're gonna say what they're gonna say. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Neighbor opening his mouth too, like one of our listings, the neighbor actually said that they really liked the seller very much. And the family and the kids of that neighbor and the seller kind of grew up together. The kids went to school, they played together. So they had even good things to say.
Yeah, it works both ways,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I thought that was nice because and it's a good thing they don't usually come up and say that to you.
All right, we're 15 minutes over. Thank you, guys. Hope was this valuable?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Eric. Thanks. Jeff and I were just saying, what a nice, thorough presentation you gave. Appreciate it.
Oh, dang, Jeff's in there too?
Yeah, he's an eavesdropper.
Lobster roll soon.
Yeah, take care.
All right, bye.